The fluorescent lights of the grocery store buzzed overhead as Marcus stood frozen in the checkout line, his 6-year-old daughter Emma tugging at his sleeve. His wallet lay open in trembling hands, revealing exactly $23.47, not enough to cover the modest pile of groceries on the conveyor belt. Behind him, impatient sighs grew louder. His face burned with shame as the cashier began removing items one by one, her expression a mixture of pity and practiced indifference. Emma's eyes, so much like her mother's, looked up at him with complete trust, unaware that her father's world was crumbling faster than he could rebuild it. 3 years ago, Marcus had been a different man. He'd worked as a marketing executive, drove a decent car, and lived in a comfortable suburban home with his wife Sarah and their daughter. Life wasn't perfect, but it was stable, predictable, safe. Then Sarah's cancer diagnosis shattered everything like a stone through glass. The medical bills piled up faster than his insurance could cover. He took time off work to care for her, to be present for every treatment, every doctor's appointment, every moment they had left. When Sarah passed away on a rainy Tuesday morning, Marcus didn't just lose his wife, he lost his financial stability, his job, and nearly lost himself. The months that followed blurred together in a haze of grief and desperation. Marcus worked 3 part-time jobs, early morning warehouse shifts, afternoon food delivery, and weekend janitorial work, juggling schedules around Emma's school hours. They'd moved from their house to a cramped 1-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood where sirens sang lullabies at night. Emma slept on the only bed while Marcus made do with a threadbare couch that smelled faintly of its previous owner's cigarettes. Despite everything, Marcus never let Emma see his despair. Every morning, he braided her hair with clumsy fingers that were still learning, packed her lunch in the same princess lunchbox Sarah had bought, and walked her to school with a smile plastered on his exhausted face. At night, he read her stories until she fell asleep, then worked on his laptop, searching for better opportunities, teaching himself coding and digital marketing through free online courses until his eyes burned and his coffee went cold. That day in the grocery store, as the cashier handed him back a box of cereal and a carton of milk, something inside Marcus nearly broke. But then a hand reached past him, placing a credit card on the counter. "Ring it all up," said a quiet voice. Marcus turned to see an elderly woman, probably in her 70s, with silver hair and eyes that held both kindness and something else, recognition of his pain. "I can't let you," he started, but she raised a weathered hand. "Young man, I've been where you are. Different circumstances, same desperation. Someone helped me once, and I promised myself I'd pass it forward. Don't rob me of that promise." Marcus's throat tightened as tears threatened to spill. Emma squeezed his hand, sensing something important was happening. The woman paid for their groceries, then pressed a business card into Marcus's palm. "My son runs a marketing firm downtown. They're looking for someone with fresh ideas and real-world grit. Call him. Tell him Dorothy sent you." As she walked away, Marcus stared at the card, then at the bags of groceries, then at his daughter's wondering face. Something shifted in that moment, not hope exactly, but the memory of what hope felt like. He called the number the next day, expecting nothing. But Dorothy's son, Richard, invited him in for an interview. Marcus borrowed a suit from a neighbor, pressed it carefully, and showed up 30 minutes early. The interview was unlike any he'd experienced. Richard didn't just ask about his resume gap, he listened to Marcus's story, nodded at the mention of his mother's kindness, and then asked him to solve a real marketing problem the company was facing. Marcus spoke for 20 minutes straight, ideas flowing like a dam had burst. He talked about authentic storytelling, about reaching customers through shared humanity rather than algorithms, about building brands that meant something beyond profit margins. He drew on everything he'd learned in those late-night study sessions, but more importantly, on everything he'd learned from struggling, from loving, from losing, and from refusing to give up. Richard hired him on the spot. Not for an entry-level position, but as a marketing strategist with a salary that made Marcus's hands shake when he saw the offer letter. But it came with a condition. Richard wanted Marcus to develop a program for hiring and mentoring other single parents trying to rebuild their lives. Over the next 2 years, Marcus transformed not just his own life but dozens of others. He created a company initiative that provided flexible schedules, childcare assistance, and professional development for single parents. He spoke at community centers and homeless shelters, sharing his story and offering hope to people standing in the same dark places he'd stood. The program became so successful that other companies began adopting similar models. Emma flourished too. They moved to a bright apartment near a good school, one with a bedroom for her filled with books and a small desk where she did homework while Marcus worked nearby. She joined the soccer team, made friends, started smiling more like she used to when Sarah was alive. Marcus learned to braid hair properly, to cook meals beyond cereal and sandwiches, to be both father and mother in the ways that mattered. One evening, Marcus returned home to find a letter in the mail. Dorothy had passed away peacefully in her sleep. Her son requested Marcus's presence at a small memorial gathering. There, Richard shared that his mother had helped over 100 people throughout her life, never asking for recognition or repayment, only asking that they remember kindness when they had the capacity to give it. Standing before the small gathering, Marcus spoke about the woman who'd seen his desperation and responded with grace. Dorothy didn't just buy groceries that day, he said, his voice thick with emotion. She reminded me that struggling doesn't mean failing, and that accepting help doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. She gave me permission to keep trying. Now, Marcus runs his own consulting firm, specializing in helping companies build more compassionate, family-friendly workplaces. Emma, now 9, sometimes accompanies him to speaking engagements, sharing her own perspective on their journey. They visit Sarah's grave together every month, bringing flowers and stories about their lives, keeping her memory woven into their present. On the anniversary of that grocery store moment, Marcus does something special. He spends the day at various stores, watching checkout lines, looking for that familiar desperation in someone's eyes. When he finds it, and he always does, he steps forward quietly, pays for their groceries, and hands them a card with his company's information and a simple message. Someone once told me that struggling doesn't mean failing. If you need help finding work or just need someone to listen, call me. And when you're able, pass it forward. Some people cry. Some are too proud to accept. But most take the card with trembling hands and grateful hearts, the same way Marcus once did. He's employed 17 people this way, each one bringing their unique struggles and strengths to his team, building a company. Culture founded not on ruthless ambition but on shared humanity. Success, Marcus learned, isn't measured only in salary or status. It's measured in the hands you lift up, the kindness you circulate, the legacy of compassion you leave behind. Dorothy understood this. Sarah, in her final days, had whispered something similar: take care of each other, Marcus. That's all that really matters. Every night, after Emma falls asleep, Marcus sits with his laptop, but now he's not desperately searching for survival, he's building something larger than himself. And sometimes, when the apartment is quiet and the city lights shimmer through the window, he feels Sarah's presence and Dorothy's wisdom guiding him forward, reminding him that the strength to succeed was always there, waiting for someone kind enough to help him remember it.